Hi besties! My name is Angie, this is my channel, maybe I'll read today. And today, we're getting ready for something big. We're setting up our TBR for Jantes Inferno readathon. This is the second year of this readathon, and I'm hoping to redeem myself this year. If you were here last year, or if you want to look into the past for last year's video, I didn't make it very far. And I actually ended up throwing up in my car by the end of the readathon. So I'm hoping this year's gonna be different. And this year we have a TBR. Well, last year we also had a TBR, but this year is just gonna be different. Just trust me on this. And before we actually start talking about books, I'm going to include Jan's information and their readathon announcement video in the description below. So if you would like to join, you have access to everything that you need. Now it's about me again. Now it's about my TBR. And so let's do it. In this readathon, we're working from level 9 and we have to read through every cycle of hell until we get to number 1 where we escape. That's the whole gist of the thing. So don't get confused if I start saying number 9 or number 8 or whatever. I know how to count. We're purposely counting backwards. So the 9th prompt is to betray your TBR, which essentially means to read a book that's not from your physical TBR, be it a library book or a gift or some other secret third thing. And for this, I have 2 library books. And I feel like whichever book I don't read for the 9th prompt, I can just read for the last prompt, which we'll get into. This is a memoir of an indigenous woman from Ecuador, and that's all I know about it. I heard about this book through Kat from Lit with Kat. It sounded good from what they said, and I also want to read more Ecuadorian books, so this is like a double whammy for me. And then our second option is Devils Kill Devils by Johnny Compton, and I heard about this book through Jordaline, who is like a horror genre aficionado. And if I remember correctly, they said that they really enjoyed this. And if I don't remember correctly, oops, but from what I remember, this book is about a woman who has a guardian angel, but then this guardian angel killed someone and she realizes maybe this isn't an angel at all. Maybe I've been possessed by a demon this whole time. And so I think that's kind of fun and I think that's kind of neat. I think on a strategic level, it makes more sense for me to read this one first just because it's the shorter of the 2. But I think it just really depends on what my mood is come February 6th. You know what I mean? The next prompt is to read a book with a dark cover. So I took that quite literally and I chose Mary by Nat Cassidy because the cover's black. It's a dark bathroom, if this is a bathroom. But also, there is like a disembodied hand in the bathtub with her. And so like, we don't know who that is or what that is or how that got there. And that's quite dark. And this book follows a middle-aged woman who returns to her hometown, ? And then there's a series of murders that happen, ? And she may or may not be the person behind them, ? And the back tagline says that this book blends Midsommar with elements of American Psycho and a pinch of I'll Be Gone in the Dark. And that seems very dark. Number 7 is to read a book with violence, which some could argue I could double up and read this one. And I think depending on where I am timing-wise in the readathon, I might go ahead and double up, but I'd really like to try and read a separate book for each individual prompt. This will only be like a last minute, last resort kind of choice on my end. So if I were to not double up, I'm planning on reading Brickmakers by Selva Almada. And this book literally opens up with 2 men who are dying in a deserted amusement park. And it says, the story begins almost at its end, just after the 2 main characters have faced off in a knife fight. And that seems pretty violent to me. And so that'll do it. Number 6 is to read a hot pick, which generally just means read a popular or trendy book. This is a prompt that I struggle with often, no matter the readathon and always, because I don't know what's trendy. I feel like a lot of the people that I follow on the Instagrams and the YouTubes at this point have come into a part of their reading that is like super niche and super like just what they're into, which I love. And I feel like I'm doing that too. And we're all like growing as readers and figuring out what we love. And I think that's amazing. But it makes it a touch hard to really have like a finger on what's trending in the like larger booktube communities. One of the first books that came to mind was actually Intermezzo by Sally Rooney, because I knew that was like super trendy when it first came out. I actually kind of want to make an own vlog for that, just because that's going to be my first Sally Rooney, and I think that'll be kind of special to document that process. So I was digging into the filing cabinets into my brain. And then I remembered there was another Nat Cassidy book that came out very recently that I feel like all of the horror girlies were reading. And that is Rest Stop by Nat Cassidy. I don't own a copy of it. I'm gonna get it from my library or something. I haven't figured out how I'm going to acquire this book, but just know that I'm going to read it. I heard it's gruesome, and I had no intention of making this a Nat Cassidy readathon, but like, here we are, babes. The next prompt is to read a book that has a conflict in the synopsis that intrigues you. And I feel like I also struggled a lot with this one as well. Upon further reflection, I figured one of the genres that always has a conflict embedded in its synopsis is a thriller. And one of the only thriller books that I own is What Happened to Nina by Dervla McTiernan. And I figured that'll do, pig. That'll do. And in this book, we follow a couple who goes on vacation and only one of them returns. And so it's an unravel-y kind of thriller where we find out what exactly happened to Nina. The next prompt is read a book that you've acquired recently. And I think this is the last book that I've acquired in a very long time. Well, now that I'm sitting here and now that I'm thinking out loud, I did receive a book as a Christmas gift. But it's like a heavy historical fiction, so I don't think I want to get into that at this moment. But I did acquire this at a little free library semi-recently, and by semi-recently I mean like 5 months ago maybe. So for this prompt we'll be reading I'm a Fan by Sheena Patel. This follows an unnamed narrator who is obsessed with a man and his influencer girlfriend. And that's really all I know about it, but it's also another short-ish book, and so I'm trying to be a little more strategic this year, even though a lot of these books are on the longer side, including the next book for the following prompt. But I'm trying. I'm like alternating between long book and short book. So for the next prompt, we're reading another thick book, because the next prompt is to read a book featuring a food and/or beverage on the cover and title. And we'll be reading Butter by Asako Yuzuki. The title, food. The cover, cow, also food. I don't exactly remember what this book is about. I do remember this was kind of trendy when it first came out as well. We follow a like chef who is also a serial murderer, but I don't remember if she like dabbled in the cannibalism. I don't think she does. I think I originally bought this book because I thought it was a cannibalism mystery, but I think I learned after the fact that that's not the case at all. But I do know that this was based off of like a real thing. And so that's interesting. And I don't know what I'm getting myself into. But if I'm being honest, I don't even know if I'm gonna get this far. We're really shooting for the stars right now. And the next prompt is to read a book that is a 5-star prediction. And for this, we're gonna be reading I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman, another really short book. And another book that now that I'm thinking about it could have applied to the like trendy-ish book prompt, because I feel like I saw a lot of people reading this in the recent past. And this book is set in this like post-apocalyptic dystopian kind of situation. We're following 40 women who have been imprisoned, and the 40th woman in this prison was actually born in this prison, and so she has no memory of what life was beforehand. And it's supposed to be this like really introspective thing about something. I don't know, a lot of people think it's really good. I feel like the very little I know about it feels very like adjacent to what I like in a book. Themes of intimacy and female friendship and isolation and shit like that, you know? So I have high hopes for this. And to be honest, it's a little intimidating having the 5-star prediction prompt so like low on this list, because like it's only creating more suspense, it's only creating more hype, and it's only creating more opportunity for this to fall short of my expectations. But hey, we're gonna be strong and we're gonna read the book regardless, and we're gonna have a good time. Again, if we make it this far. So once we make it through all of the cycles of hell, there is one final prompt, and that is to just read one more book. One last book to escape and to ensure your safety out of hell. And again, whichever book I don't read for the first and/or 9th prompt, I'm going to read for the last and/or first prompt, just to keep things relatively simple. And if I don't feel like reading either of these by the end of this readathon, it'll just be a mood read, and it doesn't matter. because we're not gonna make it this far anyways. So that's my TBR. Really excited to spend another year in hell with some pals. Let me know if you're going to join this readathon. Let me know if I can see you there. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.